Hey guys, I'm going to get into one of my all-time favorite films, Mirror, by Andrei Tarkovsky. This was released in the year 1975. And yes, Tarkovsky was a genius, absolute genius around the 70s within Solaris, this, and Stalker. I mean, a trinity of a loose science fiction concept. This is elite science fiction, really. But this is just a stream of poetry, really. There's no way you can spoil this one, because essentially all this film is, this is just like a collision of visions that feels like it's the summation of a person's life, basically. All the most beautiful and tragic moments alike, but how it relates to a hope within melancholia ultimately, because there is wonder to be found in the end within the sorrow. That's kind of what the film communicates in a complete dreamlike manner. As far as the essence of a dream, I've never seen a better film in my life, honestly, because it's just entirely focused on characters who are just entirely in the moment. And that's the message I get out of this one. It just feels like just be in the moment. Don't overthink. Just have wonder about everything that you're perceiving, which is just perfect. I mean, that's just the essence of Tarkovsky in a nutshell. This is perhaps the most straightforwardly poetic he has ever been in any film he's made. There's a little more story around it. There's just simply straight to the point of what he wants to do, is which is kind of lift a person's spirits at joy, in a lot of ways. So that's what this film does. But through some dark stuff, there's some dark emotions to explore. I mean, this is more horror, right? Horrors. I mean, it really is just a representation, just depressing. And some extended depression that was living in this Russian landscape at the time. This is horrific emotions that were kind of going on right out here. So this is just a film that gets right into just nature, really. And it just feels like, yeah, this is just one of those films that just kind of just tune into your emotions organically. You just organically will continuously just think about just the most miscellaneous things that have impacted you in the past, and how it all kind of impacts you in the end. Like, you'll think of just everything, not in terms of regretting it. It just sort of looks at you like anything that you feel maybe bad is just simply a simple mistake that can easily be corrected. It's just the tone that this film possesses here that just shows that you're never really troubled. It's just very dreamlike what it's exploring. It feels like I'm in a haunting but peaceful dream all the same, and it's just kind of contemplating life just right before it's your final days, basically, as if it were your last day on Earth. I think that's what the film is. It's like your last day on Earth. It's like just everything you'll be thinking about right before you die, if you know you're dying. That's sort of like, I think, what the film is intending to express in its own sort of way. Um, there's just nothing here that feels like it's any other film. It's just really its own language entirely. That's what the best films are really out to do. It's just like, okay, I think that's the essence of being a film lover is. It's like, okay, just an essence of diving into a world that literally is just an extreme point A to point B. That's, I think, the excitement and everything marvelous about a film. Just the extent of just difference in perspective you can have from start to finish, and the excitement that you find in that. This is perhaps one of the most enlightening of all, as far as just everything they're directing. It's just beautiful color schemes, and it is uniquely experimental in its portrayal. I would say very much the way the film Tree of Life challenges people a lot nowadays. I think that this is a similar film in the 70s, where it's just like, this feels kind of pointless, maybe. But I would say that it's like, I think because going into it, I think that's what it has to take. I think everyone will admit, like, this is a little confusing the first time around. I don't think anyone will doubt that, will deny that. Because what it is doing is literally just the essence of a person's last day on Earth without revealing what it's doing. I feel like it's just basically just a mystery film of that's the essence. I gotta rewatch this. That's why it gets better. It's just like, okay, I'm just watching every man's last day on Earth. That's what this represents. It just makes you think about why the triumphant feeling of being alive, and is what this entire film communicates. Why it's necessary through the light and dark, even through the dark moments, and particularly, it's just so in the moment. That's just like, well, yeah, of course I want to feel like this. It's just some of the best cinematography ever. Such beautiful. Beautiful emotions that this film takes me through. It's very unique. That's some great acting all around. I mean, I think it's some of the greatest editing ever in a film. I mean, it's just simply genius. But the entire film is just really laying out. I mean, it's just consistently a mysterious film that just keeps me coming back more and more, because it takes me, every time I watch it, it just kind of washes up my subconscious in a very enlightening way. So that's what I can describe this film. It feels enlightening. I literally feel like there is a feeling of theme of rebirth coming through a lot of this, rebirth in the face of intense pain, but just kind of grasping something beautiful all the same. And it just feels like and I think that's what Tarkovsky's intention is. Like, he doesn't really want you to understand exactly what's going on, like all the time. Like, he can literally just kind of take it to a state of mind that's very similar to films like Doesn't Want a Space Odyssey are taking you to. Tarkovsky films are all like that, but in his way, because he's a walking force in humanism rather than the darkness and coldness and stiffness of Kubrick's vision. Because I think Tarkovsky's background would just simply be a lot more lonely and dying to express themselves. So it's just too. He's too excited to express himself. Like I think whenever he's there, so it's like he has to make the most enlightenment that he can. That's how he feels to him with this platform. And he's perhaps the best genius of all time at just simply walking it right up. Well, David Lynch may come around to it in the end, but I think Tarkovsky literally is. I mean, it's exact same level of talent, literally, because he's the best poet of all time, perhaps as a director. At just taking you through something that's balances perfect entertainment and enlightenment, literally. That's kind of what this one's out to do with the nature. And Terrence Malick's another comparable sort of director. He's an American taking a lot of this, but a lot more tragedy lives in Tarkovsky's outlook. And again, but this is just again showing a state of peace that comes with an enlightenment after having gone through some horrific things. That's what makes the essence of this completely timeless. It just feels like it's complete. Everything you've ever known and everything you ever will know will always come to one thing. It's like. It's worth life is worth living in its essence, and freedom is worth cherishing when you have freedom. To the best of greatest and utilizing the greatest of its extent. Because it's downright silencing what this film does. I mean, literally, it's one of the most transcendent films ever made. I realize this is my favorite Tarkovsky film. Yes, I love Stalker as my top 10 all the time. I think this is my top 5, literally. So this is so life. And it makes you see everything different because it's just like it comes. I think maybe with the sense of just. Nihilism comes a sense of just peace, really, and I think this is kind of capturing a nihilistic state, and how a nihilistic state of mind can come to ultimate peace within themselves. And that's sort of what this film is. It's a very internal expression of that, but still, it speaks universally. I mean, and it makes it social, literally. I think in the end, I think that's what the modern foundation of the 2020s of film. I try to believe it's just to make this all a sociable process in the healthiest way possible. And it's like. This is the way to do it, Like I think Tarkovsky's tone is just so beautiful. It's quite perfect, really. It's just everything he's laying out feels like it's just certainly out to capture just almost the impossible, really, which is just literally what it actually feels like to feel like it's your last day on Earth. I think other albums that take me through this feeling is like Laughing Stock by Talk. That's a big one as well, because it's just like kind of going through all these intense emotions, but ultimately I'm at peace with a certain death with them. That's what kind of is coming out of all this, but it's triumphant. That's what's so cool about it. So it's one of the best films ever made. I mean, it really is just a poetic experience. It's very dreamy, and it's out for an atmospheric take on humanity. It's an atmospheric like Boyhood, basically, but way more tragic. Way more tragic. So this is quite a perfect film. What it's doing. I think that it's very rich. It's also very easy to get into. I think once you kind of just lend yourself to a mysterious outlook that it's kind of taking you through, kind of just loving the unknown, and just like lending yourself completely to these just timeless visuals and the way it lingers for so long, as well as just genius dialogue. I mean, it's wonderful landscapes that live in here. I feel like there's just a million things you could say about this, but I mean, it could just go on and on about how the feelings this film just takes you through, and the way that's just even more to the heart than Solaris. Solaris is a lot darker of an outlook, but equally perfect film. So it's a little more of a deeper film, I would say, is mystery. But this is, however, just deeper, making you kind of just, all right, life is good, in the end. I think it's like, it takes you through some deep memories, Like, these are memories that, especially if you're a creative type, like you're going to cherish like what this is taking you through. You need this in the end, no matter what, you need everything that this film is taking you through. It makes you in a very personal way. Another film that takes me through this film is like a Magnolia by Paul Thomas Anderson. This is like a more rich adult, I would say, take by contrast, more experienced contrast, I'd say. Like, well, Magnolia just as much in the end. I did it. I know it always is a bit of a 29-year-old made that, as opposed to like just extremely like kind of here on the timeless spectrum. So this is just beautiful. I mean, one of the best films ever made, and I feel like it's just like a dream unfolding in the purest sense of the word. And it's Tarkovsky's ultimate statement as a director. It's just, this is what he wants to tell you in the end with all of his films. They're all your loneliness, they're all your hardness and darkness. Like, it should always come back to a, hey, like childlike sense of joy and wonder, and hey, we're going to have a good time. And not doing anything too overwhelmingly crazy, because life is too good to let it get too crazy in the first place. Tarkovsky knows that. He communicates that so beautifully in all of his films. So I recommend this film to everybody, literally. Like, this is a film I wish I had seen this when I was young. So this is like life-changing. I mean, really is a perfect film. I think in every sense of the word, what it takes you through. And again, it is going to be like a bit of a mysterious film in the first place, but it's just so beautiful. I think it's a film that you'll go to if you just want to see something that's overwhelmingly beautiful. and timeless. This is a film that deserves to live for centuries on end because it always has something to it. Yeah, so I'm completely a huge fan of this masterpiece, Mirror. So I recommend this film to everybody, quite literally.